Okay, so one of the things that I see all the time from clients that I work with who send proposals is they get ghosted. And you get yourself in a bit of a tiz because it's like you put all this effort in, you've spent probably 4 hours creating this proposal, you send it and nothing happens. You follow up, they ignore you, and eventually at the back end of it they'll say, oh, we've had to think about it, it's not for us, we're not looking at doing anything now. In this video I'm going to show you how to stop getting ghosted and how to get a proposal that actually helps you close more deals. Here we go. So, this is really a simple process that we all just get wrong because we've never been shown anything different. We think that we've got to put the proposal together, and in the front, we think that if we load the front up with all the juice, all the benefits, all the things that we're so good at, how long we've been in business, how many awards we've got, the type of clients that we work with, and that's the first thing that we're doing wrong. Firstly, we're trying to impress them rather than assessing whether we're a good fit for one another. The problem that you face there is you're not getting their attention straight away. So you've got to get their attention straight away. And the easiest way to get their attention is by to open that proposal with the problems that you've talked about, not about how good you are. The other problem that you have is, and I'm sure you've done this yourself as well, is you get a proposal sent to you, and the first thing that you do is flip to the back page, because that's where the price usually is. You look at the price, you get none of the benefits that's inside it, none of the actual stuff that you've talked about, none of the solutions. You've not got any way to influence them. All they see is a price, so all of a sudden they become very price driven rather than looking at the solutions that you're offering as well. And that's what happens a lot of the time. You get ghosted, especially when you send it to them. You fire it across, you send that proposal, they get to the back page, they think, it's a lot of money, I can't invest in that right now. And rather than just coming back to you and saying, we're going to leave it, they just ignore you, and it's frustrating. So let me show you how we are going to change that. So the first thing that we're going to do is when you get to a stage where you're putting this proposal together, the first thing that you're going to do is never ever send it to them. So you're never just going to send that proposal. It's just asking for you to be ghosted. So you never send it to them, and it might sound weird in doing that, but there's a reason we do that. The first thing that we've got to do is we've got to set the stage for the next thing that happens. So the way that we're going to do that is when we've got this proposal together, and I'm going to show you the right structure to do this, you introduce them the next step. So you already tell them what's going to happen next once you've had that initial phone call. It could be a phone call, like a discovery call, it could be a face-to-face, a Zoom or whatever it is. You've got to set the stage and tell them what's going to happen next. So you say to them things like, typically what happens next after we put our proposal together is we'll ensure that we've got all the right stuff in there, and for us to do that we need to present this for you. So what we'll do is we'll book another call in over Zoom or a meeting, and what we'll do is we'll walk you through the proposal to ensure that we're covering all the things that's right and important to you right now. Now after that, what typically happens is if you're happy, and stress, only if you're happy with everything that we've talked about in that proposal, then what we'll do is we'll pick a date when it's convenient for us to start working together, and we'll get you on board and onto our system. But again, only if you're happy with everything that we've talked about. Does that sound okay? Now, what you've done at this stage is you've actually soft closed them. So you've actually got it into a place where, providing that you have everything in that proposal that they want, then they're in a position to say, yes, we're ready, we're happy, we've agreed to this already. So that's the first thing that you've got to do, is you've got to make sure, one, you never just send a proposal, you always present it, and two, you set the next steps. So the next step is typically what happens is, if you're happy with this, we'll agree a day to work together, and then blah, blah, blah. Are you happy with that? And by them agreeing with that right now, it becomes really difficult for them to wiggle out of this unless there's a genuine concern about something in that proposal. And that's what we'll cover in another video. Right, so let's just jump back into this right now. So the first thing that you've done, like we've just said, is you've locked down the next steps. The second thing that you've done is what's called an upfront contract. And this was something that was coined originally by a sales training company, and the name's just completely just slipped off the top of my head right now. It'll come to me. But an upfront contract is exactly that. It's nothing that they sign. It's just basically saying, if you're happy with everything that we talked about, the next step is to do this. Are you okay? Is that okay? Can you do that? Fantastic, great. So we've now got that locked down. The next thing that we've got to then look to do is we've got to make sure after this, the proposal's put together in the right way. And like I said right at the start, a lot of the time what people do is they fill the proposal up with our awards, how long we've been in business, the type of clients we're working with. It's not the way to make it work. What we've got to do is make sure it starts with the problems. So you've talked about when you've done your discovery call, when you've been with them in person, you've talked about what challenges they're facing right now, what it is that they want, what's stopping them from getting them, and they're the problems. So if you're building, if you're building a website, it might be that they're not getting the traffic, it might be the website's slow, it might be that you don't work on mobile. If you're offering content marketing or digital services of some sort, social media, it could be that they feel a little bit overwhelmed, they don't know what to post, and they've not got the resource or time to be able to make it so it's effective. So these are all the problems, and these are the things that you want to put right at the front in this proposal that you're putting together. So you're going to talk about the problems right here. That's going to get their attention. That's going to make them lean forward and listen. The second thing that you need to then do after this is not again talk about what it is that makes you so special. You're just going to talk about the solutions that's going to help them fix these problems. So you're going to say, well, what we're going to do for you is this and this and this. And what that's going to allow you to do is solve these problems, because this one takes care of this one takes care of this, and this one takes care of this. And that way then they can see what the other side looks like. This is your promise. These are the problems that they face, and this is your promise right here. What colour are we going to go with? We got a purple one. So this is your solution, your promise. It's your solution. This is what you're going to do for them. Next, after that, what we then look to do is move to that next step. So what we're doing is we're guiding them along this journey. And so you show them then what the promised land looks like. What does good look like for them? What makes them happy and content, and knowing that we've now finally got these problems taken care of and solved. So you talk about this stage here is the solution. This is the payoff. This is what the payoff looks like. This is what good looks like. Now, what we need to do in the middle of this, before we get to the final stages, we need to put in this bit here, in the promise bit, just underneath it, this is where we put then the price. And I'll tell you why. This is important. You can't really see that there, can you? But this here is the price. I'll just write it up so you can see it on the screen. This is where you talk about the investment, the costs. And I'll tell you why we need to put it in this section here. If you don't put it in this section here, what's going to happen is, if you put it at the end, like everybody else does, what happens is they walk away with that proposal, if they look at it, because you've just sent it to them, they flip to the last page, and on that last page, they'll see the price. All they'll do is keep on just trying to tell themselves that it's a lot of money. Their brain will just keep on looking at that price and thinking it's a lot of money, it's a lot of money to invest, it's a lot of money, it's a lot of money, it's a lot of money. And that's one of the reasons why you get ghosted. Whereas if you do it this way, where you leave them, so you put the price here, but you leave them on the payoff, this section here, this is what life can be like. What they're going to walk away with, if they don't agree on the day, what they're going to walk away with is a mindset that's like, oh my God, we need to do this. They're going to justify the price. They're going to find as many ways as possible to justify the price to get this payoff. So let's just look at what you've got there. So you've got, start with a problem. Don't start with how good you are or how many years you've been in business or awards you've got or clients you've got. Start with the problem. Once you've done the problem, tell them the solution. Don't tell them everything. Don't overwhelm them with a million different solutions. Just pick the solutions that solve the problems that you've talked about. Your job is to get them the results. It's not to try and educate them. A lot of the time, we think that educating them is going to make them feel impressed by us. That's not the case. Your job's it's not to get them smarter, it's not to educate them, it's to literally get them a result. So you've got to tell them what solutions, what products, what services, what offers do you have that help them to get these problems out of the way, that solves these problems. That's all you need to talk about here. You then layer in the price. So you talk about this is what the investment looks like, and then you wrap it up and finish it off with a payoff. This is what life can look like once these problems have been removed and we've injected our solutions into your business. This is how good life is. This is that you've got Do you know, again, if it's a website, you've got a website that ranks high on Google, you get a lot of traffic, looks great on mobiles, and actually you get leads from it. If you're doing digital marketing services, it's like content, like we talked about earlier. It's that you know that you've got a proven plan that's got a step-by-step structure where all your content's done for you, and this content then builds you as an authority, as a thought leader in your space, and people start coming to you rather than you chasing them. You've got to paint the picture, paint the big transformation for them, because otherwise you're just going to blend in and sound like everybody else. Now, if you do have anything else that you want to talk about, put it at the end here. So if you do want to talk about awards that you've won, put it there. If you want to then talk about different clients that you've got who are well known in the industry, talk about it there. If you want to talk about yourselves and, you know, heritage or history or whatever it is, talk about that there. Don't put that at the beginning, put it at the end. If you do this and follow this through, you'll find that you'll stop getting ghosted, people will pay you faster, and ultimately you're going to get more money into your business. And that's ultimately what we're trying to achieve here, is we want to make sure that the leads that we get convert, and they convert in the quickest time possible, and you get paid. Now, the final thing that I will say here is that if you get to the end of this process, if you've followed this journey along and you've started with a problem, you've presented this to them, you've not sent it to them. Again, let me stress, do not send the proposal. Actually present it to them. So you've presented it, you've gone through the problems, you've then gone through how your solutions are going to fix them problems, you've talked about what the price is, you've talked about what good looks like, the big promise that you're going to give them, the payoff. You might want to talk about, you know, again, like I said, awards, services, time in business, people you've worked with, etc., etc., etc. And then when you come to get their business, if at this stage they block you and they say, actually, you know, we need to think about it, or they say, you know, it sounds fantastic, we need to go away and have a chat, whatever it is. You're not there to challenge them on that, but you are there to question them on that. Because if you go back to what we said right at the start, where you've got the next steps in place with the upfront contract, you can actually call back on that here, and you can say to them, I'm a little bit confused. Because when we originally spoke, you said that if you were happy with everything that we talked about in the proposal, you'd be very happy to move to the next step, which is getting started and work together. So I'm just a little bit confused. Has something changed, or have I not covered everything that we need to cover? And what it does is it allows you to get deeper back into a conversation, because it could be something as simple as you've not covered some of the stuff that they need, or the payoff's not as great as what they thought it would be. Now you can walk away from this deal thinking, oh man, you know, this is not working, people don't want our product, they don't like it. Or you can stay into this space, get a little bit uncomfortable by pushing back, and find out exactly what the problem is. Either way, you get to know. And I have always said this, like, I don't care if I get no's from my prospects, as long as I know. Because there's nothing worse than having a pipeline that's got 20 grand, 50 grand, 100 grand, 200 grand, a million, or whatever it is, sat in that pipeline that's actually just false. It's never going to convert. It's been there for 3 months. You need to get rid of it. So I'd rather get it out of the pipeline as a no than leaving it in there and not knowing. So either way, you win. And the idea is that you want to do that in the quickest time possible. So give this a go. If you like the video, obviously give it a like. If there's anything like specifically inside here that you've liked, leave a comment. It'll obviously reinforce it, and it makes me feel a little bit fuzzy and warm. Below or somewhere on the screen, there will be a video that will talk you a little bit more about what we're doing here, and if it's something that can work for yourself, you'll find out what our big plan is in terms of how we support and help you. But other than that, yeah, drop a like, make sure you subscribe, and we'll look out for you look out for the next video.